Welcome to Made in Murray, the podcast that focuses on the successes and struggles of local businesses. Let's get started.
My name's G, I'm your host, and today I'm sitting down with George Goudsmit, who's the Managing Director of AES Solar in Forres. Thank you very much for inviting me to your office today. Can you tell me a little bit about the business?
Hi, yes, would love to. The business started 40 years ago in the Fintorn Foundation. Was established by a guy called Lyle Schnadd. He invented a solar panel and started manufacturing it. 10 years later, he wanted to go back to the States where he was to educate his teenage kid. And I happened to be in a little group that where he shared that information, and I stuck my finger up and I took over the company 30 years ago. Although Lyle had invented this panel, he had diversified into big-scale central heating, which that part of the company didn't interest me at all. So we dumped everything apart from the solar panel business, and that is now still going. And at the moment, we are the only solar panel manufacturer in the UK.
That's quite incredible. And this has been going on for 30 years?
Yes, although we are now celebrating our 40th anniversary.
Wow. So what services is the organization providing right now?
Okay, the main thing, we only do things that relate to solar energy. So we manufacture solar panels for the creation of hot water, and now with regulations slackening off, we can also use it for space heating. And still, the main business is PV, photovoltaic, which creates electricity. And that is due to the fact that in 2010, one could get enormous subsidies for PV, which almost killed the solar water heating business. Now that the subsidies have gone, the feed-in tariff has stopped, solar thermal is picking up again, which is very nice because we manufacture that ourselves.
That's interesting. So did the subsidies hurt parts of the market and companies?
It almost killed the solar thermal market because the solar thermal business never had any major grants offered to the public.
Mm-hmm. What products or services do you find that people are most interested in?
PV, domestic PV, which is a 3, 4, sometimes 12 panels on your roof, creating a large proportion of your energy, your electricity. Now that there is no grant for it anymore, people are now also buying batteries, so then you can look after yourself for a longer period of time. So during the day, your solar panels create electricity, which normally would go back to the grid, and you used to get money for that, which you don't anymore, or very little. So now it pays you to have a battery in your house that you can use everything you create, you can use yourself.
Wow. So if I'm driving down the road and I see some solar panels on the top of a building, is this the kind of thing that you're talking about, the things that you can see on the roofs of houses?
But from a distance, you won't be able to distinguish between water heating panels or electricity generating panels.
Mm-hmm. And is one of the markets bigger than the other market?
Much bigger. PV is huge. I mean, when you see big fields of solar panels in the UK, it's always PV.
Wow. And so these panels are collecting energy from the sun and turning it into energy that can be used in people's homes.
Correct.
Right. And how much of a person's average energy is this able to provide?
In principle, we could create everything, but that is out of all proportion. So we normally reckon 50 to 70%.
Mm-hmm. And is there some element of that energy that goes back into the grid, or does it all stay within a person's home?
At the moment, quite a bit goes back into the grid, unless you take a battery. If you have a battery or an electric car, you can use that electricity that's generated by your own panels, and you can utilize it.
So if you have an electric car, what you can do is you can charge your electric car from the electricity generated from the panels around your home.
Correct.
And because we're based here in the north of Scotland, there might be a perception that this is not something which is viable here because it tends to be cold, wet, windy, cloudy, rainy.
No, it doesn't matter. We need light. Light does it, and we have a lot of that during the year. Maybe not so much in the winter, but there is a lot. One example I can give you is if you have 1 square kilometer of solar panels in the north of Scotland, 1 hour of sunshine on that square kilometer provides enough energy for the whole world for a year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why don't we have that?
Good question. It's because it's very political, and that's why we are very excited about our business. The more we realize that there is so much available, people will start utilizing it more.
Why hasn't it grown to be bigger than it actually is? Because it sounds like a fantastic way to develop.
Because it has become a money-making thing. So most people ask us when they come in, how long is the payback period? Nobody asks what is the positive effect on climate change. It's all to do with money, and the government, the same with the government.
So are there any rules or regulations that make it difficult to set up or run this type of business?
No, every household is allowed to have solar panels and allowed to make use of that energy. And the same applies to hotels, to anybody who is outside a protected area. There are ancient building type of rules, and you're usually not allowed to put panels there. But that is also starting to change.
Yeah, and even if you don't put panels on a building, you could put panels, say, next to a building.
Yeah, you can put them in a field, and some people do that too. Yeah,
it solves the problem, right?
Yeah.
What is a typical client or customer of the business like?
There is no typical. I mean, mainly elder people. They do it because they have some money left. They can save some more money than they had realized, and they do it for. The elder people usually do it for the climate. Also, they're climate conscious. Younger people also see it as an investment, and most people want to be green, and this is a very handy, very, very easy way to show how green you are.
And how does this type of energy compare to the other forms of energy that are created or consumed?
Coal is bad, oil is bad, nuclear is debatable whether it is good or bad. Yes, it's all the traditional things that are messing up creating the climate change or adding to the climate change.
As a managing director in a company like this, how does it feel to be in this position doing what you're doing in this industry?
Okay, it feels, it's a mix of feelings. Number one, I am used to doing business. And I run a company in London which was fiercely competitive and very commercial. And I like that, but not to do it to the detriment of the people around me or the climate. So when this was presented to me, I number one saw that is a very good business case, and at the same time do something really useful for the planet. That's why it is so appealing.
It's definitely a good idea to contribute to the betterment of humanity, for sure. So what kind of press and publicity has the organization had, being that it's a leader in its field?
We won some awards for system design. We have got about 4 awards for best practice, for best system design. We look also very much at the welfare of our own people in-house, which is very important to me. So we have done some things. For the 40th birthday, we did a marathon, 44 kilometers, on the what's it called? That trail from Lossiemouth here. So, no, not Lossiemouth.
It's not the Speyside Way. This region is full of trails going in all different
right.
directions.
So this was a 44 kilometer walk.
Right.
And we did the 3 Peaks Challenge and that sort of thing.
Wow. How is the organization actually organized? What people have you got doing which particular tasks?
We mainly have engineers, pretty clever engineers, guys that can understand and design systems and do surveys. And then we have a few administrative people, and we have a few surveyors that do all the traveling, measuring up private housing. So for the bigger projects, we also do very, very big projects. The engineers go out, discuss the opportunities with the client, measure up where we can put the panels and how to run the wiring and all that. And then we have a marketing person who designs our website, does the brochures, does business cards, looks after events. If we go to a show or a trade fair, she will be there and organizing it all.
Mm-hmm. The projects sound interesting. Tell me a little bit about some of those projects that you've been involved in.
One of the projects is around the corner. We did the swimming pool, the municipal swimming pool, which was quite a big system. One of the nicest, one that got us a lot of publicity was Balmoral. We got solar panels there, which is very nice. Mm-hmm. We did the Scottish Parliament. We did a huge 600 housing estate near London. Yeah, we have lots of very interesting ones. And the bigger the project, the more interesting it becomes, especially for the engineers.
Mm-hmm. So with castles and bigger parliament buildings, how does that work? People just call you up or send you an email and say, hey, we want to do the parliament building, or we want to do a castle? Or
it usually goes through contractors.
Okay.
So we have very good relationships with quite a few big contracting companies. And also housing associations, which is a very important part of our business.
Well, yeah, if there's being houses planned or houses developed, you would hope that they would be integrating renewable and practical energy sources.
Yeah, and that is becoming law. It is already a little bit of law in Scotland. 10% of any new build has to have a renewable energy machine in it.
10% still seems like a low figure.
It is.
Yeah. What have been the biggest struggles that the organization has faced over, say, the last 10 years?
To keep going, because with the regulations in the solar trade have been very, very irregular, very divisive. The government, we love the government, but they have made it very difficult by changing the rules very rapidly, with very little notice. With our 40 years, we have been used to that, so it hasn't affected us all that much. And we could foresee what was going to happen and take measures like having either more people or better instruments to handle any changes in the patterns.
And because this organization is so unique, who do you look to for inspiration? You know, where can you go to get information about what is the best way to develop or move forward?
One of the people I read a lot about is Steve Jobs. It's that sort of people that inspire me. They lived their companies, and I live this company also. I think it's very important to, if you don't believe in what you're doing, that must be hell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I absolutely agree. Would someone like Elon Musk be on your radar as well?
A little bit. Yeah, he is a bit. We deal with his company, and they're a bit, I don't know, not dishonest, but they are not straight dealers.
So not everything is what you see.
No.
A lot of big companies are like that, I'm quite sure. On a personal level, what is it that you enjoy about your work on a daily basis?
to be with the people and see that they are in a good place within themselves, which radiates out into the world. I get great pleasure out of that. I get great pleasure out of complex, big solar energy systems. I understand the principle of it, of all these machines that we make. But to see a big system created from here, from this little office, and then see it out in the world functioning is very nice.
Mm-hmm. If you've been here in this industry and working in this place for so long, you must feel like the business is part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what kind of development do you see in that area in the future? Do you want to stay here and work within this? You want to train other people up to take over the responsibilities? How would that work?
Well, I've now decided that we will most probably go for an EOT, which is an employee-owned trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that will mean that the people that I work with now will take more control, and I will be taking less control, and maybe even become sort of ambassador, a CEO of the company. So I will be out of the office for longer periods at a time.
Mm-hmm. So this would mean that the employees have a greater share in what goes on.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, it's a really nice idea. What is it that you find frustrating or don't enjoy about the job?
A bad day would mean that the transport company doesn't turn up, half the people are off sick, a system in the Outer Hebrides is not functioning as it should be, and then the satisfaction comes back when we resolve all these problems smoothly and quickly. And that is why I like the people that I work with. They're problem solvers also.
So it's the finding solutions to complex problems.
So I believe that it is, if we make an error, we are straight back onto it. And I think that is a sign of a good company. Every company can make an error. But to say then to the people, how often now do I get told, well, I've never heard of that problem, so why would you have that problem? We don't believe in that. If you have a problem, you have a problem. And we will be there to remedy it.
Oh, it sounds like a great philosophy to have. What is it that people don't know or don't see about what you do or the company does? Because very often clients and customers only see the face of the organization. So what are the things that they don't see that are happening behind the scenes?
Most people don't realize that we manufacture solar panels in the north of Scotland, which sounds very crazy, but we do make them here. They don't necessarily realize that we have quite a big group here. People who visit us are always very happy that they've been here and that they've met all the people that work in it. But that doesn't show from the outside necessarily, although I think it is also radiates out of this company that we are a caring company, not only for our clients, but also very much for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And when you say the panels are made, are they made here in Forres or somewhere else?
In this office.
Wow. And people are driving past every day and they have no idea.
No.
Oh, quite incredible. And what are they made from exactly? Or how do they get constructed?
Aluminium and toughened glass and quite a bit of copper. I can show it to you if you like.
Oh, we'll do a tour later. That would be really nice.
Okay.
I would enjoy that. I like to see behind the scenes of everything. How do you see the future of the industry changing and developing?
It will only get more successful. People start realizing more and more, government starts realizing more and more that it is a great solution for energy poverty. It can be very easily localized. It is expandable. The sky is basically the limit.
Mm-hmm. A lot of organizations don't survive 10, 20, 30 years. Some don't even survive 1 year. What are the habits of success that have led this organization to be so strong for so long?
To be real, I've known people that are fairly successful and immediately start spending all their money on things that they don't plow it back into the company. We do. I think that's one of the biggest failures of companies, that people feel, wow, this is great, I'm getting rich, and spend it before they have received the checks from their clients.
Mm-hmm. Do you find at times that clients can be very demanding?
Yeah, and rightly so. They pay us a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They can be as demanding as they feel they want to be.
And how do you deal with that if they're demanding?
We just handle them like everybody else who is not demanding, who may be demanding but doesn't want to say it, is embarrassed to complain, which is a very common thing, especially amongst older people. But we test everything, we make sure that everything is working, and the demanding people, they know possibly a little bit more about the system that they've bought, are not happy with one or two aspects of it. We go talk with them, make sure that it does work, or that they realize that it will never work. The little bit of piece that they had expected to work and isn't.
As a managing director, how do you handle things like work-life balance? Because obviously this business takes a lot of your time and a lot of your energy.
I don't balance it at all. My business is my life. I am critical of people that do 100% strictly 9 to 5, and I also admire them. I messed up my relationship with my kids because I was more with my business than with my kids. So I also, at the same time, I admire the people who manage to live their domestic life to the full.
Absolutely. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about your industry or your work that would make your life easier, what would you change?
My life would be much easier once we are going through the renovation of this company. Then we can attract more people. Yeah, this company has all the possibilities that are available, and there are so many options. We get so many offers from so many different angles. We do a lot of R&D, which we really like. We work with universities. We work with young people. The average age of this company is about, I think at the moment, 27, leaving me out of the equation. Otherwise it would shoot up too much. It's a joy to be in this industry because there are so many different challenges and opportunities.
If there are some young people who are interested in getting involved in this kind of work or this kind of industry, where should they start?
They should come to us. We welcome them with open arms. We give them opportunities within the company to be on the shop floor, helping to make solar panels, or some of them are interested in administration, so they can hang out with all the people in this office. And they usually are very useful, and they usually like it to be here.
Mm-hmm. If a young person contacted you and said, I'm really interested in learning more, how would you respond to that?
Come and sit here, talk with us, and we will give you all the books, we would send you, if you are an employee, we would send you to courses all over the place. There are so many courses available in the solar industry. It's unbelievable. And we would open the doors for them.
Mm-hmm. How did it happen that you're the only one here?
It's a tough industry. It is difficult it's a difficult sell. It's, all the people, when PV, the photovoltaic electricity generating panels, got this massive incentive, we had literally hundreds of companies jumped on the bandwagon and did what they thought was very good. It was very good, but they were not necessarily selling solar energy. They were selling the money you could make out of it. And that incentive is now gone as of the 30th of March of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And all these companies, of hundreds of them, have stopped trading again. So they were only in it for that particular easy sell. It was not really difficult to sell it because you could make so much money out of it as a house owner.
Do you think in a way that it was a failure from the beginning?
It was not a failure. I think it was a slight error that the incentive was much too high to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So that after 3 months, that incentive was halved, and then halved again, and it went down to zilch.
Mm-hmm. So what are the secrets to selling solar?
Being very enthusiastic, being real about it. You know, we don't sell things that we can't make true. And there are companies that do that. We don't. We say, this is how it is, this is what it costs, and we like you if you take it or if you don't.
So there's a lot of research, a lot of statistics, a lot of information.
Lots. We do a lot of research. We do a lot of trying to find out solutions for difficult projects. We are not necessarily brand loyal, although there are a few brands that we are loyal to. But on the whole, we look at the client. What is the best for the client? And that people like that.
Yeah, so it's on an individual basis
Yeah.
as people and organizations come
Yeah.
in. What could the community do more to support the work that this organization is doing?
We could. One of the things that we are working on is getting systems for a whole group of houses, for example, to have one big system for 10 or 20 houses, and then the cost of it can be shared, and the benefits will be shared, and then the people are not all that dependent on the grid network anymore.
Do you get any pushback trying to do that?
It's the size to make it viable. People don't want to spend the money and the time on it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we are trying to do with the government. Is very keen to do an interseasonal big system for a bunch of 50 houses.
Wow. What's the biggest project that you've done so far?
In one go, we did 550 systems in the Seychelles quite a while ago. So that was big.
Wow. Why does a place like the Seychelles need to come all the way here to get their product and service?
Absolutely no idea. Because we are a very good product.
Would you put yourself as one of the best?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's quite amazing that we can have one of the best here, and most people still not be aware of that fact. I'm always surprised by those elements. On a personal level, and working as a managing director, what do you think that people should read that would be motivational or inspirational in terms of guiding people towards the right kind of future?
It's sadly enough, it's coming back to finance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what most people look at. The first question people usually ask is, what's the payback?
Mm-hmm.
And the payback is a good payback, 5 to 8 years, maybe 10 years. But companies want a 2-year payback.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, they are also realizing that is difficult to achieve, and they still want to go with renewables. So.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that people have a problem making long-term plans and they only see the short-term?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. There are companies that have a long-term view, and they usually go for solar energy.
Mm-hmm. Over what time period can people expect to see an investment come back to them in some way?
5 to 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and a life expectancy of 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what happens after that point at 25 years?
It will keep saving you money. I mean, so you've paid back for the whole installation,
Mm-hmm.
say in 7 years.
Yeah.
In theory, there are another 18 years to come. That's all free, totally free.
Wow.
If it goes indeed after 25 years. We have panels in around here that have been going for 40 years.
Incredible. Most people have a connection with understanding the topic of energy and power through things like electric cars, which are becoming more and more common. What's your perspective on how that area or that industry is developing?
It's going very, very fast. I mean, 1 million meters, intelligent meters have been installed already. The EV chargers, the electric vehicle chargers, are becoming very commonplace, even in big places like London, where you don't expect that sort of thing. And once people realize that this sort of energy can be made without any cost other than the catching machinery, like the solar panels. Cars is one of the best examples. People can see a car going after putting it on a charger for a few hours, and you can drive 200 miles. Whereas with in-house systems, you have to wait for your bills. You have to wait 3 months, and then you can see how much you're saving.
I remember when I was a kid, there was a man who drove a solar-powered car around the world, I think.
Wow.
Clive Sinclair? Was that his name?
Did he do that? Yeah.
I think that he did something like that. And that's a long time ago now, because we're talking early 1980s. I'd have to check exactly when that was. But it seems like it's been very slow progress.
Very slow. Exceedingly slow.
Why is it so slow?
It's a belief system. Nobody believes that you can get something for nothing.
It's a human condition.
Yeah.
And every day we see the sun come up.
Yeah.
And every day we watch the sun go down. And it's right there in front of us.
Yeah.
The solution. Yeah, quite incredible. Your business is on fire. Everyone gets out okay. You can only grab one thing as you're going out the door. What do you take with you?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say it is my laptop.
Well, that's probably what I would grab as well. It's got all the details and contacts and projects and yeah. On a personal level, time travel is possible. Where would you go? What would you see? Who would you talk to?
Where would I go? I would probably go back to the 60s.
Yeah, what's so...
for me, that was a very good time.
Uh-huh.
There was Beatles, and all these fantastic things were happening. But it was,
Do you think that some of the technological advances have maybe had a negative effect on society?
I can't think of anything. But give me an example.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's everybody walking around staring into their hand where they have their mobile phone, perhaps, rather than having their head up and observing and looking around.
Yeah, very good one. And Google tried it with the Google glasses, and that didn't take off. Because I don't know why not.
I would like that.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to have my phone. Just
wear
the glasses that I normally have.
Yeah, I get very irritated by people talking to each other at a dinner table. They're texting each other. I've seen that happen. That's most peculiar.
Mm-hmm. So if someone's out there and they're thinking about the possibility of solar, what's the first step that they make to make the change?
They give us a call that they are interested, or they walk in here. Lots of people walk in here. Tell me what you know about solar energy. So then we very quickly try to find out where their house is, whether it has the right orientation, and we gradually start telling them what the options are for them. And we also tell them if they have no option. If it is a house surrounded by trees, for example, we advise the people not to go for solar energy.
But you could place the panels somewhere next to the trees, perhaps.
That we always look at the options. They may have a field. They may have a field beyond the trees. They may have another property, a garage beyond the trees. There are always possibilities, but we will advise the people what the options are.
Where's the best place to go online to get information?
If you just put in solar, you'll probably get a million pages coming up. Also, there is a Solar Trade Association. They have a very, very good website that tells you the truth.
And what's the exact website address for AES Solar?
aessolar.co.uk.
It's that simple. It's that simple. So people out there, get onto your computer, type it in, have a look at the data, look at the information, and make the change that you need to make, and do it today. George, thank you very much for the time that you've given me this morning. I've really appreciated your insightful approach to the business and the work that you've put into this organization over a long period of time. I wish you great success in the future, and all the best, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Made in Moray is a product of the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Book a free online personal or professional development consultation today. What are you waiting for?